Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I am very pleased that this audience has not forgotten about my friend Bill Stevenson. Bill Stevenson, the ex-husband of Jill Biden, the former First Lady of the United States of America, is in jail right now, accused of first-degree murder of his wife, his second wife. Now, I do believe that the case is a sham, and he's being railroaded. Am I a little bit biased? Yes. Bill is a friend of mine. I also met his wife, Linda. However, we can definitely establish that this case is being handled very, very unfairly for the defendant, Bill. I think there's motive that we have found, evidence of a motive that the Bidens want to punish Bill Stevenson, and the Bidens still run Delaware. My friend and journalist Joel Gilbert has done something really great for the Gateway Pundit. He's written about this. He is building off some of the work I have done and my friend Garrett Ziegler have done, and we've kind of joined forces to get the word out about Bill Stevenson and this injustice. Joel Gilbert, thank you for what you're doing. How'd that piece go over? I hear you're making waves.
Well, I did get some incredible response, and it was really set up by your Substack articles where you covered this quite a bit. And I even had a number of friends, old friends of Bill Stevenson, emailed me after the article from the website, and they said, Bill could never hurt a fly. He always was a great guy. We support him. He has to have fair representation. We have to see the facts of the case. So the article is, I think, had a big impact, and it's a series of articles now that are building up since you started it on your Substack.
Well, thank you. And we had Bill on the show 23 and 24, and I think that's where he drew a lot of attention from the Bidens. They knew what he was doing. He endorsed President Trump. He told the truth about Joe. He explained the weaponization that Joe was carrying out not only against President Trump but himself, because Bill prevailed in a divorce proceeding against Jill all the way back in the 1970s. And we know that Jill is still upset about that divorce settlement. She wrote about it in her most recent book. Joel, I applaud you, Gateway Pundit, and people can go to your Twitter, your X. You are all over social media, Joel Gilbert. But Joel, I feel like we need to get some mainstream media involved in this. I don't like mainstream media, but I think it might be able to help because these people are accustomed to blowing off conservative media and just doing things, corrupt things in plain sight. Do you agree? And if so, how do we get, like, the New York Times, the New Yorker, others to get engaged in this story?
Well, I've been through this process. I know you have too. Basically, you have to cover it and get people interested and kind of embarrass them into covering it because they realize that they have to cover it because everyone else is. That's kind of been the process. I did get a call from a contact at Daily Mail saying he'd like to cover the story, so he's looking into it. I'm hoping he'll pick it up. Once you get Daily Mail and New York Post picks it up, then sometimes you get Fox News or even CNN will pick it up. So we're trying to flip the switch here to get mainstream media to cover it. Often when you force them to cover something that they don't want to cover, they start calling you a conspiracy theorist, But I think we got a good start here, and we're going to keep at it because, if the state of Delaware has a good case, I think they should put the facts forward and let the media and the public take a look at it. If it can't stand the scrutiny of public, it's not going to fly in court.
So right now, Bill Stevenson is in jail. He's been there since February. And, in a way, the punishment has already started. He's 79 years old, and they would be punishing him, I believe, because he endorsed Trump and embarrassed the Bidens and told the truth about how they met and everything else. Let me ask you, what are the top 3 anomalies, in your opinion, about this case so far?
Okay. Number one is there's extraordinary secrecy about this case. There was an initial autopsy on Linda Stevenson. It was inconclusive. They couldn't even tell what the cause of death was, let alone that someone murdered her. So somebody, we don't know who, ordered a second autopsy. We don't know who performed it. And somehow, based on that, they indicted Bill Stevenson, and of course, he pled not guilty. And they refused to release any facts about the case, no autopsies, no 911 call. I've put in FOIA requests. They rejected it. I've had other people put in Freedom of Information Act requests, and they refuse to give any information. His public defender won't return my calls. So that's number one. They will not release any evidence in this case, even after he's been indicted. Number two is the $2 million cash bail for someone who is not a flight risk. He's 78, 79 years old. He has no resources. Usually they send you home with an ankle bracelet, but they're making him put up $2 million in cash, knowing that will force him to remain in jail for up to a year before his trial, which I think is unconstitutional. So that's very strange and very weird. And the third thing is just the fact that the Bidens loom over this thing. Jill Biden released her book a couple months ago, as you mentioned, where she's still mad about the divorce settlement. She didn't get part of his bar. You've got the fact that, as you chronicled in Substack, you've got all these conflicts of interest, that everybody in Delaware worked for the Bidens on their campaign, on the Biden campaign. You know, Delaware, I've been told by one of Bill's friends, is not a state, it's a corporation. So those are the big three. The total secrecy about the evidence, the ridiculous bail that keeps him in prison, and the connections to the Bidens.
And with that, the conflict of interest, potentially with the judge, prosecutors, and even the defense attorney, Ross Flockersy, which is kind of astounding that he won't get back to you. He is a defense lawyer. You're trying to help the defense. And, you know, he could at least get back to you and say, hey, by the way, shut up. You're not helping. You know, say something. Say something. And he won't do that. Tell us a little bit about his potential conflicts.
Well, Ross Flockersy, as you pointed out, and Garrett Ziegler also had researched with you, he is either lives with or is married to this woman named Misty Siemens, who is the chief of staff to the Delaware governor, Matt Mayer. Now, Matt Mayer has always talked about his close ties to the Bidens. He worked on the actual Biden presidential campaign way back in 1988. He was friends with both Beau Biden and Hunter Biden. So they're all so interconnected, you can't even separate it. So this guy, Ross Flockersy, all he had to do is return my call. He's been indicted. He can tell me, well, we're not allowed to release information, or he can tell me what he can. But it's just very suspicious. It just, when you talk about someone being railroaded, these are all the elements. And the prosecution wants to show up in court in January of 27, present their evidence with a couple of experts, and find him guilty before you, me, or anybody even have a chance to understand what the evidence is.
Wow. Well, so appreciate you being on this case. Hey, do me a favor. Let's listen to a little bit Bill Stevenson, what he sounds like. This man was married to Jill Biden back in the late 1960s, early 1970s. She was introduced to Joe Biden through Bill through a fundraiser. She has given so many weird contradictory statements about how and where she met Joe Biden. And when that happens, someone's lying. Okay, when you tell the truth, you never have to remember what you say. Go ahead and roll that tape, please, of Bill Stevenson with me, please. How do you feel when you see Jill Biden and what she's doing seems to be desperately clinging to power? What can you tell us? What is your take on what's happening?
Well, my take is the only take that can be taken seriously, to be perfectly honest, Greg, because it has been 40 years that we've been married. Yep, a lot is going on. And as you say, I have no hard feelings. I've lived a better life since the divorce. Divorce was wicked, and I'll speak about that in a minute. But, Greg, I'm the only one that can tell the truth about what's going on here. And I am telling you, the young lady, Dr. Jill Biden, that I see on stage is somebody that I really don't even recognize anymore. It's sort of amazing how she's matriculated into this person. And you're right. I have no hard feelings. That's so far in the past, I even don't even realize that it's true anymore. But let me tell you something else. When I saw her yell on the stage that a president that I love, Donald J. Trump, I could not stand by any longer when she said he's a liar. It drove me crazy. I can't stand it anymore. Maybe I am taking the gloves off. I don't know. But, Greg, it's unfair. I don't understand her. I don't understand that she does not see that her husband, the President of the United States, is struggling. She's got to do something about this and realize that this is not any good for anybody, and especially the country.
Bill, you went through the divorce.
We can stop it right there. It's interesting to hear him, and that man is in jail right now. Not good for the country. He was worried for the country. How is he doing? I know you have spoken, we've both spoken, but you more recently, to people who have spoken to Bill. How is he doing in there? Again, 79 years old, robust guy. I mean, I sense that he's not healthy, but how's he doing?
Well, I've talked to 2 or 3 of his friends that do speak to him, and they've said it's very restricted because he's surprisingly held in a cell with 2 convicted criminals who are serving out their sentences, and that is very abnormal. When someone is not even being tried yet, they're not supposed to be held with people serving sentences and convicted criminals, because then we get these things where they say, oh, there was a fight and so got stabbed by these other mean guys, that were in there for being who knows what they were doing. So he's not supposed to be held in a jail cell with convicts. So they always say when they speak to him, Bill is very guarded, and he actually has to speak to them from his cell. He can't go out to some phone. They give him a phone in the cell, so everything he says is heard by these 2 convicts. So he has to be very careful. He knows he's being recorded. So we're actually getting very little information from Bill himself because of the restrictions over the fact that he's in a cell with 2 convicts and he knows he's being recorded.
Well, that's crazy. That is crazy. And obviously, safety is a factor here, too. Do we know what those guys were convicted of? I mean, serious stuff, or what?
We don't know, but when you're in that type of jail, it can be anything from fighting or being a meth head or drugs. It's probably not people that are in there for life, but they're people probably have had some kind of altercation or emotional problems typically. And, I wouldn't be surprised if we wake up one day and say he was injured or killed, got in a fight with somebody. It's just inappropriate for him to be jailed with convicts. And I think it's inappropriate to be in jail for a year when you haven't been convicted of anything. They should send him home with an ankle bracelet.
Makes sense. That would be the decent thing to do, and a lot of other things have to be done here for there to be justice and fairness. Joel Gilbert, follow him on X at Joel S. Gilbert. You can also go to highway61ent.com. All kinds of fascinating projects up there, from Al Gore to Roseanne Barr, Barack Obama's brother. Really fascinating man. Joel Gilbert, we appreciate it, sir.
Okay. Thanks for having me. We'll stay on this.